Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to play Monster Train. Big surprise. We're on Cov9. Things are going well so far. Maybe, just maybe, we'll get to see the Umbra. Holy crap, it happened. Alright. I love these guys. Okay, quick run through. We have Daedalus the Professor. He's going to make things blow up. And we get Fell the Wings of Light, who's going to give us crap that we have to get rid of. So we have to take energy at the first boss. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. Probably going to forget it. Then we get Seraph the Diligent. Seraph the Diligent. He's going to eat her spells. Gonna eat all her spells. Get a lot of spells. Alright, Penumbra is a big beefy boy. Takes up 3. Actually, I guess a lot of them take up 3. Root Seeds. I don't think we've seen that one before. This is the alternate Awoken's starting card. Giving ourselves, instead of healing 2 and 1 regen, it applies +2 damage. And then we draw an extra 1 the next turn. So that kind of takes care of all our draw problems for now, so we're not really focused on getting anything that gives us more draw, since we have 4 more cards already that give us more draw. Shade Splitters add Morsels. Morsels are a kind of card that we haven't seen yet, so it's worth explaining. Morsel cards get eaten. Makes sense. No. Better explanation. Morsel cards do a thing where they have stats just like any other unit. They take up capacity just like any other unit. All of them take up 1 capacity, except for the champion that takes up 2. But we're not playing with that one. We're playing with Umbra. And morsels will be consumed at the end of a combat round by whatever the front friendly unit is. And it will have an effect based on what kinds of morsels there are. There's morsels that give you health, there's morsels that give you damage, there's morsels that give you health and damage, there's morsels that give you health and damage shields, some that give you damage and lifesteal, and one that gives you energy, and I think that's it. Overall, they vary in usefulness from the ones that give you energy are fine, but generally considered the weakest. They are common morsels. The uncommon ones will give 4 health to a unit, or 4 damage to a unit, or the lifesteal, or the damage shield. The ones that give damage shield don't give as much health. They only give 1 health plus a damage shield, as opposed to 4 full health. And then the rare one gives actually +5/+5, which is pretty fantastic. Honestly, the 2 that come up the most as far as usefulness are concerned are probably your +5/+5 and your lifesteals. Those tend to synergize very well, but they all have fantastic uses, and there's ways to use them all in very interesting ways. And of course, we've got trains to raise. We are in Cov9 now, so we are actually not starting at maximum health anymore. We are starting at 60. By the time we get up to Cov9-25, we will start at 40 health, which means that no longer are we just going to look at the first couple pyro remains and go because they're actually, like, they can do a thing. That being said, we're not in any, like, imminent danger with 60 damage in, so it's fine. Alright, let's look at Grovel. Grovel gives us damage shield 1 on 1 unit. Cost 2, gives us 2 good morsels, uncommon or rare. So none of that little energy grubby man. All of those are going to be stat enhancing units, and then we can apply damage shield, which just simply blocks the number of attacks equal to X. We've seen X cost before, we've used X cost before, I don't think we have to go over that, but just for the readers who have not tuned in before, X cost eats all of your remaining Ember. So you pretty much want to play that last, because if you don't play it last, you're playing it last anyway. I guess unless you have 0 cost cards like Steel Enhancer, so. Exceptions to every rule, Mort. Exceptions to every rule. Let's upgrade our champion. Speaking of lifesteal, coming in at Glutton, we have a man that has Gorge effect. Once again, this is a new thing. Gorge triggers whenever it eats a unit, not whenever a unit is eaten on the floor. So if he's in the back line and somebody else in front of him eats, Penumbra does not get this bonus. He has to be the one going, and as soon as he does that, then he gets additional stats on top of whatever the unit does anyway. So if a unit gives him +5/+5, he actually gets +9/+7, which is super nice. Architect simply makes your floor bigger. So he kind of doesn't take up any room, or at least for now he only takes up 1. So this is pretty strong in combination with other things. This is pretty strong with certain things. We look at our deck and we go, well, we've already got a great source of good morsels right there, and a mediocre source of additional morsels here, so seems pretty good to go ahead and take Glutton, and he is going to be kind of our damaging man. You know, I will not take Emblem of the Exiles one of these days, but that day is not today. It's just too good. It's just too good. Now, one of the other interesting things you can do with morsels, you can actually use them to tank. So if you don't really like the morsel that you're going to get, you could actually stick it in front of a unit. By the way, we're going to stick this guy up here solely for the reason that we want him to power up and not take 20 damage and immediately die, because that would happen, and that sucks. So here's our first couple of morsels. There's one that gives you 4. He's got 0 health and 0 damage and 5 health. So you can see now he's going to get +11. He's going to get 5 from the floor itself due to our Emblem of the Exiles, and he's going to get 4 from this guy, and then he's going to get 2 from the Gorge, and he'll go up to a 24/31 in one shot. And then we put another one up there, and he gets even stinking bigger. We're also going to put root seeds on him just for grins. So now he is a very, very angry man. Now, of use will be the note that he can only kill 1 person. We got 4 people here, so that's a problem. And we are going to solve that by ignoring it and hoping the problem goes away. That's not as effective as it might look. No, that's okay. We'll go ahead and Steel Enhancer this boy. We'll go ahead and give him a Shade Splitter. We'll go ahead and give him... so here's the instance of the generally considered weakest morsel, but it will give us a... because it's eaten at the end of your turn, you will get that bonus energy next turn, not now. So we still really, really only have 2 energy. We won't get more until later. So we can put out 2 Train Stewards. One of them will immediately die, and one of them will not actually kill a clergyman. That being said, that may still be the best thing we can do, unless we just really want to play 2 Root Seeds on this guy, which I'm going to do anyway. Moving on. Ladies and gentlemen, we have absolutely 0 damage spells in this deck. We need damage. Let's put a Train Steward out here, and he will start tanking up. Steel Enhancer goes out. We can only fit 2 Shade Splitter units here. That gives us 2 additional mana to use next turn. And you know what? We can pretty safely just say that this guy is kind of toast. So I could give him 2 damage, but I feel like that's just going to waste it, so we're just going to put it here. It's fine. I'm not going to cast the Prismal Dust. If it comes up next turn, we'll actually be able to cast it for 5, and that's kind of cool. Yeah, we take 3 damage for our pains. We're going to take 4 more damage after this guy finishes pummeling the crud out of this clergyman, and these 4 guys will hit us for 1. So we'll be down from 60 to 53, but we have absolutely 0 problem just completely murderizing these units. By the time they get up there, these guys are all going to have 1 damage, so we'll take 1, 2, 3, 8, and then 1, 2, 7, so that's 15, 16, 21, and then 3 more hits of 15, so 46. No, 1 more, I guess. No, that's about right. So, yeah, we'll take like 46 damage, and we easily have that. So we could literally just hit end turn a couple of times, win, but that's no fun. We have a whole lot of energy here, so let's just go ahead and spend it. Ooh, yeah, nice. So we could make this guy a little bit more useful, but I think we just recognize that the preponderance of evidence here is that Penumbra is just going to be the biggest, angriest man we could possibly get. Our other trained steward does us no good because he's just going to immediately perish. So let's just give ourselves another draw for next turn. Okay, we'll take some damage there. Alright, so Grovel is back to save us. Really not hitting any very interesting cards other than just kind of continuing to do the same things we're already doing. We already know we're going to win, so just play it out the way we play it out. Does this save anybody? 3-3-3-5, 3-3-5, so he would get one additional hit in if we do this. So, haha, we killed that. Cool. Alright, we feel a little better about that because now they actually get to do something. But, you know, really the name of the game is just continuing to beat stick on this guy until he takes 82 damage in a single hit. Notice, remember, recall whatever words you want to use. This guy starts as a 20-20 and ended up with well over 80 damage, so it goes pretty quick. They get pretty nommy. Nom 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 nom. Packed morsels is a great way to get additional morsel units to our hand. Space Prism is a great way to increase the capacity of the floor so we can put more morsels on it behind it. Wow, my eyes doing some stuff here. I think we got an eyelash in there. And Void Binding is a really interesting spell that I have a very hard time using. Applying Damage Shield 2 is great. Applying Rage is great. Applying Ember Drain 3 means that you basically can't cast anything for the next 2 rounds afterwards, unless you have another way of getting Ember back, which is hard. So really our choices are between Space Prism, Packed Morsels, and Skip. Skip is not a bad option. Skip is not really the option I think we want to take. We actually have good cards, good ways to use both of these cards. Packed Morsels certainly has a use in terms of opening ourselves up to putting another unit behind Penumbra and still being able to put at least one morsel behind there every turn. And then Packed Morsels obviously gives us a quick infusion for free of very, very good morsels, since you can only get the uncommon or rare rather than common morsels there. So they're both good cards. I think Space Prism does alleviate a few more of our concerns early on, and we can look to do something with Grovel to simply make it either get holdover or duplicated or something like that, whereas we don't have any other effects that do this, so this comes into the decision-making process that we start talking about solving the problem that's in front of you. Our problem right now is that we were fairly regularly able to get 3 morsels out, and could not put them behind Penumbra all on the same turn. So this gives us a part of the way to do that. So Wildwood Sap is usually just kind of a no-brainer for me. Steel Enhancer is kind of nice, but we already have 2 of them, so we really don't need it. But I think especially with Lifesteal and Grovel, we have abilities to give ourselves healing anyway. So I'm actually, for the first time, going to probably not take Wildwood Sap, and instead we're going to take Vine Grasp. And the reason for that is we have absolutely no targeted damage right now, and that is a targeted damage spell. Great. These are fantastic units. They're all good in their own right. So Gorge obviously is the effect that happens when it eats a unit. Crucible Warden we're talking about here. Damage Shield 1 obviously blocks 1 attack of any magnitude. So be the damage for 1 or be it for 100, 1 single attack will be blocked. Does not help against multiple attacks unless you have multiple stacks of damage shield. But still, pretty solid option. Morsel Master simply doubles the amount of morsels that we put on a given floor. Note that you can overcapacity with that, so if you have 1 capacity left when you put a morsel in, Morsel Master will still duplicate up to the limit of 7, of course. However, you do have to be aware that you don't have infinite capacity, and so if you don't have anywhere to put morsels in the first place, Morsel Master doesn't give you anything for free. However, I do like the ability to double up on units. It means that we essentially get free units on top of him being a 10-10, which isn't great, but it's not terrible. And then, of course, Animus of Will is a known quantity. We're not as excited to get that one simply because we are looking more towards things that can beef up Penumbra first, and then after that we'll start looking for an additional frontline unit, and then finally we'll start looking for a second backline unit like an Animus of Will. So Penumbra is going to fulfill an interesting role, by the way, and champions do this sometimes, where he is a front backline unit. He is essentially going to need to be supported by other units, but he fulfills a tanking and DPS role kind of together, and we're going to want to kind of synergize around that to make sure that he is as big as possible, but also as damaging as possible with his Gorge ability, giving him just an inordinate amount of damage possibilities coming in. So we only have one unit right now that is Morsel Master. We could look to take an Awoken Banner. I think the Awoken Banner is going to be a little harsh because most of those tanks from that side are based on healing. And one of the things that we consciously made the decision for in this run so far, partly because we wanted to do something else, but partly because I just like doing things differently, and I don't necessarily want to play I don't want to force the game to run the same way every time. So we chose not to take a healing spell when we gave up on the Wildwood Sap and took the Vine Grasp instead. So I'm a little more excited about going ahead and getting a Umbra banner, even though I think I would rather upgrade my spells right now. I think Grovel is such a fantastic spell to get rolling, and Space Prism would be something that we could kind of abuse by removing Consume on it, but I think we're going to get another opportunity. I mean, this is obviously not the only Merchant of Magic that exists. We're going to get another opportunity to do that. We could pretty easily like swing through the Merchant of Steel Umbra here, swing to the other side, pick up our 20 Pyro Remains and get an artifact, and then we can go swing through here, get another Umbra banner, and kind of make most of our units be kind of all of one variety, and get a Merchant of Magic now at that point, right after the first boss. So I think that's probably what we want to aim towards doing, and of course, feel free to yell at me if this doesn't work out. So a second Morsel Master doesn't do quite as much as the first, unless you can really fill a floor, but a Crucible Collector is the other type of tank that the Umbra has to offer early on. Every time he eats, he gets Lifesteal 1, so he is a drain tank. One of the things that we're going to look to do is give him a little boost of extra armor or health, which we can do either with Heartstone, Large Stone, or both. And at that point, then he's got enough health to take the first couple of incoming hits. And as soon as he can take the first couple of incoming hits, then after that, it's fairly easy for him to drain tank back up. We just don't want him to get immediately popped by a quick sort of like 1-2 punch that takes out his 20 initial health. But 3560 is really hard to kill, and a 3585 similarly is even harder. At that point, I feel very confident in going ahead and spending the last 50, getting rid of our Train Steward, knowing that next floor we've already decided to not have any stores due to there not being any stores, so we don't have to save any money here. Okay, we have an extremely strong frontline unit that's going to get overpowered as soon as he starts going up into the +5/+5/+5/+5 round, and by the end of things he should have hundreds and hundreds of health. Giving them spikes doesn't do anything to us because our frontline units are amazingly tanky, so I believe we can fully ignore all of that nonsense. We will put Crucible Collector on the ground floor, and he will just punch people to death. Penumbra we will put on the top floor, and he will do other things to death. Now we really just have the choice: do we want to Vine Grasp the middle guy and take out 5 damage that way, or do we want to take out this guy and take out the spikes on the entire row? It's a pretty close decision because that's 4 damage effectively, so you'll be saving a 1 damage plus the spikes, but the other thing is it means that these guys won't take spike damage either, because we won't be drawing Vine Grasp before he comes back up. So really it's a choice of whether the Disciplined Foot Soldier... Oh, you know what? No, if I kill the middle guy, then he's the only one left, and then there's only like a 1/1 for me to deal with. So I think that's reasonable. And then beyond that, I can put a couple of damage shields on this guy. He's a little more fragile right now. I'm not worried about taking 1 damage when I have 85 health, so... we'll just do that. Okay. So this is an instance where we get to choose whether or not we care about things. We can do some really dumb stuff in order to capitalize on this collector. 50 gold is 50 gold. So we can do things like, hey, let's pull some shade splitters out. And then if we put the morsel master there, then we can put a shades or a morsel excavator behind it, and then all of a sudden there's 3 of them there, and then we'll kill that guy with the morsel master, and then the excavators would kill the collector bonus. You know, we could even like put the morsel excavator out and a rubble morsel in front of it, and put the steel enhancer on the rubble morsel, and still put the morsel master up top. We got options. None of them are super appealing. I'm okay with wasting like 1 turn's worth of stuff, but I kind of don't want to put the morsel master here. I feel like that's maybe a little too greedy. Plus, if these guys survive their foray into danger zone, I mean the rubble morsel won't, but the morsel excavator will. We could drop like a train steward there and still soak it up. So I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to put this guy there. He's dead. He's no longer, well, he's still dead, but now he's going to kill that guy. And we put this guy here. Now he kills that thing. And then we just put the morsel master up here anyway. Still get our 50 gold. Still get to move on with life. I'm going to put this here. That's fine. He's super dead. That's, again, kind of totally fine. We'll worry about that a little bit. Let's go ahead and pump this guy full of some roids. We didn't really get much of what we wanted to do in this battle, did we? Okay, so first things first, we can go ahead and grovel here. Reason being, if we put this guy... well, don't do that. Kind of in the back here. That will kill everything off. One of these guys will die, that's okay. And then we super win. So if we do that, he'll kill himself with spikes. Is there a way for us to not have him kill himself with spikes? Yeah, we could steel enhancer it. And then we go from losing 69 health down to 21, because then he gets lifesteal and gets to get 39 health back. None of this matters. I'm going to stop thinking about it. Okay. We punch people in the face, they get punched back. Then we get coins. Alright, we worked out a pretty decent way of getting some stuff rolling. Another space prism isn't going to go terribly awry, then we don't really have to worry as much about trying to make the other one not consume. We just cast them both. The other getting 2 extra. Obviously, if you want to look at what is the ideal situation, well, the ideal situation is we space prism every turn for 0, and we also get every turn our damage shield 1 and 2 units, and we've got a morsel master on every floor, and we can just fill every floor with 7 units every single turn, and all of our units just get massive bonuses, and we win because we're cheating, is basically what it comes down to. That's not realistic. The main point is most of the time 1 or 2 space prisms is enough to kind of open up a floor to get at least 1 morsel in, and with the case of us having a morsel master, if we drop a floor that normally has 5 open squares, a penumbra takes 4, sorry, a penumbra takes 3, morsel master takes 4, so you've got 1 open slot. So there's no effective difference between 5 slots and 6, because as soon as you put in a morsel, it's going to get doubled, and you have 6 capacity anyway. But as soon as you go up to 7, now you can actually put 2 morsels in and double those both. So a space prism here is actually still good. We can start using Razor Sharp Edge to do silly things to some of our characters, but again, I don't think we're doing anything with healing here, so Wildwood, Sapin, and Graft are kind of just vestigial. I don't believe we actually need them. And so I think I'd rather just take coinage here. Our damage bonuses are going to come from our morsels. Our healing is coming from our morsels. I think that's how we're playing this game. Let's go ahead and, we could have gone there, and we could have gone ahead and duplicated our Vine Grasp because we desperately want damage, but taking 20 health here is certainly not going to go awry. That obviously gave us stuff that we can use. Our Pyre can get angry, or we can apply Rooted to enemy units when they get at the top. That gives us a few more chances to punch them in the face with the Penumbra, but it certainly doesn't give us any more damage. I don't know that I actually care about Rooted here, so I'm just going to kind of default to the other one, although I'm not excited about either of those. I think these are just kind of ho-hum bonuses. Okay, well, we could have had... so we can have all the Space Prisms. I'm actually thinking maybe we just get 5 Grovels. And then we just recognize that most of them are going to get blown up by Seraph. What if we just did that? And now we just got a ton of these fairly high-value morsel cards floating around. That's not to say that that's an instant win condition, and I may come back to Curse My Life here just due to how expensive that is. But that seems like a decent option. We're going to do a little bit of silliness here. We're going to go ahead and put a Crucible Collector out, and then we're going to put a Train Steward in front of him so that less people die. Okay. We're okay. We're okay. We're okay. Morsel Master is here to do some cool stuff. Save ourselves 10 damage, get 2 Magma Morsels out there. Notice that our capacity is full, so it won't be until the second time we put a Space Prism out there that it does what we want. But we can start feeding this guy as well. We need to kind of feed one guy here and one guy here for a while just to give him the ability to continue to heal up. Other nice thing about this is he starts off with 35 damage. He's going to go up to 39. After this, so he's going to take 39 anyway because this guy actually starts with power, as opposed to just toughness, but then he'll eat and basically transfer that 4 power in. So one more of those guys and we can actually kill front lines with our front line. So let's see how that goes for us. I'm already going to heal all my stuff back, so we'll just do that. This is a different type of thing. I'm not as excited about that. That's okay. We'll put that there. Oh, you know what? We can just put this there and we kill one anyway. Alright, hopefully we get our Vine Grasp here. That would be really sweet. Nope. But we do get another Space Prism. Totally fine. Totally fine. This guy's currently getting through. We're not excited about that, but we're also not scared of it. None of these things matter. Let's just put a Grovel here. Damage. If we put that here, then we kill that guy. Put more health down here. He does not need more health. Let's just put more health here, and then he'll get double stacked on his Gorge. Then we really just choose whether or not we want to do a Root Seeds or another Shade Splitter to go ahead and feed this guy's addiction. I do like the idea of using our Steel Enhancer back here, so that if backline units have a few more health, then this guy can punch them a slight bit more effectively. Let's go ahead and put another unit back here. I like feeding him. Giving us extra energy is a great way. We're also highly likely to, if we keep up with feeding him even a few times, just kind of winning off of that and not even needing the top floors. So that's also pretty appealing. We actually have 4 energy this turn, which turns out pretty nice because we can cast this twice. And let's just put all of the health down here and all of the damage down here. And I think we're going to win on the bottom floor, so let's just beef him up some more. Okay, we're going to want to look for at least 1 damage towards the top, which we can do, and we win, so great, everybody's happy. Let's grovel here. See if we can get through this without losing really much of anything. Yeah, okay. Pretty cool. Yeah. And you can see, I mean, there's a fair bit of power just kind of packed into the fact that he's got just some massive bulk sitting there. I like the idea of applying Quick. Quick is pretty cool. Channel Song is not going to give us really much of anything because we really want these 2 guys out on like the first turn. Morsel Master is the only other one that could use something like that, but that's not real exciting. Let's just go ahead and get some Quick. We do have 1 more frontline spot available. Do we go ahead and pick up a Thorned Hollow with our 0 healing? I'm kind of not excited for that. I'm more excited about maybe just duplicating the Crucible Collector because he's got a bunch of money sunk into him already. Is there a way for us to do that relatively soon? So we got an Umbra banner coming up with a Merchant of Magic. We could also go to a Merchant of Steel with an Unstable Vortex. Neither of those has a Hell Vent attached to it. No Hell Vent next to floor. There's a Hell Vent in the Wildwood with Forgotten Boons and Pyre Remains. We are likely to go to the Merchant of Magic with Unstable Vortex there because there's also Urza's Horde. That seemed really, really obvious for us there. So we wouldn't possibly get a Hell Vent until down here. So honestly, we kind of probably want to go ahead and take a unit here. And if we do, we probably want to take a unit that is going along with our theme, which is eating things. Okay, we'll just have 3 drain tanks in the front. We reminded ourselves 2 or 3 times at the beginning that we need energy because of Fel. Fel is going to give us Scourges. We don't like Scourges. Let's get some energy. And now we have a big choice of, we've got 2, 3 units that are good. We've got 6 spells that we duplicated in relatively poor planning fashion. Don't really need much else in the way of units, honestly. So this path seems slightly less appealing now that we've got the Umbra banner already happening. It seems slightly more appealing to upgrade our Crucible Collectors. That being said, I still would like to... I don't really need to upgrade any of these spells except for maybe making some of them cheaper. So let's get rid of some cards. We have obviously no room to play our Train Stewards, so let's go away. We do have a... Nope, we don't have Concealed Caverns on this route, so we can take the health. We always want to do a Concealed Caverns before we take health, just in case the Concealed Caverns do damage to us, and then we're not overcapping and then losing health anyway. And we upgrade our champion. So we can go from Gorge 4-2 to Gorge 9-4. That seems really obvious. Monstrous going up to 4. We don't really have a sustainable Space Prism strategy. We just have two single ones that we're going to cast twice. So mixing and matching this time does not seem as useful. Let's go ahead and give him the required bulk. Let's go ahead and give this guy some damage. And see what else we get. Multi-strike. Multi-strike seems interesting for Morsel Master only because we have no other way of doing backline multi-damage. We could actually put multi-strike on this Crucible Collector. That also means, so the interesting part about that is that means that he's going to use up 2 stacks of lifesteal every turn, so I'd rather him just do more damage in a single hit than to hit twice and run out of energy doing his thing. But because the multi-strike is a good enhancement, I don't want to lose it, so I feel like putting it here, but then I also feel like that just gets him killed. I'd almost rather just give him 25 health. I could give this guy 25 health. I don't think he needs it. I think 45 is enough, because we'll probably aim to put this guy like bottom floor, we'll put this guy middle floor, and the bottom floor is the one that soaks the absolute most damage. And then obviously middle and top floors should take less damage as long as you're killing some of the units some of the time. Our major problem here is damage, though. So I'm hard-pressed to make an argument for not putting multi-strike on at least one of these. The argument should not bite my nose. The argument for putting multi-strike on the Crucible Collector is that it does eat and it gets bigger, so eventually it's not just 20 times 2, it's actually like 40 times 2, 50 times 2, and so you can actually use him as kind of a damage unit. And he's going to get bigger with being a frontliner. Maybe that's enough. Maybe that's enough of a reason. We just go ahead and give him multi-strike. We recognize that his health starts at 45 and it goes up from there just because of the fact that he's a natural frontliner, and then we'll just give some bulk to the Morsel Master, knowing that he's kind of in danger of AoE. Oh man. Okay, so we have all the bulk required to survive literally the entire game, but we have very little damage coming through. So we need to make sure that we get something like Trample or some other just like radical source of damage to make sure that that doesn't dry up. One of the ways we can do that is to actually forego putting Morsel Master behind this guy. Instead, put Morsel Master behind our Crucible Collector to double feed him. And we'll single feed the top floor. So that going there is obvious. Anything we do here gives him armor, but this gives us the ability to put 2 morsel units there. So I think we're kind of forced into that. And beyond that, I think we just go ahead and run a Steel Enhancer here, run a Root Seeds here, run another Root Seeds here, and then we go back here for the Wildwood Tome. Yeah, just cuz. Okay. Alright. So we're in relatively weird shape, and the weird shape is because like this guy's obviously going up. But what we can do is we can Vine Grasp this guy, so at least he dies and we're not taking an additional 7. He's already gaining 5, so we can kind of ignore that floor. We can grovel on this floor. And then we can go back up here to put some additional health on him. We like putting health on him because he gets 9 anyway, whatever he eats. So his damage is going to scale kind of regardless of what he eats. Whereas this guy needs to scale specifically through unit consumption. Our second thought is we just go ahead and grovel him again. That's additional. Okay, so these guys give Lifesteal 1 and he consumes Lifesteal 1, so each one of these will consider Lifesteal 2. So putting this guy on this floor is actually Lifesteal 4, as it is 1 times 2 times 2. So that's pretty strong. It also has the bonus of killing this Clipped Guardian, since they will do 2 damage apiece. We like that. He's still in absolutely no danger, so I think we just put him up here as well. And make sure that anybody that slides through is going to go ahead and take enough damage to die. We will take a couple of hits, no problem. Okay, so he's starting to get a little bit of damage into him, but not enough for us to worry about. He's going to go back up nearly to full, but not nearly enough to kill that guy, which is what we're worried about. So let's go ahead and expand this floor so we can put 3 units up there. Let's go ahead and expand our only multi-strike unit, remembering that we do need to do extra damage as this guy gets up here. That being said, that's such a good spell, we have to, or such a good guy, we have to put that up there. Similar, and boy, I wish there was a way to do this twice here, because then we could actually kill him in 1 hit. But That's just going to be 49 times 2. It's a little, or 39 times 2. That's a little unfortunate. Okay, so we need to think about on the next wave where we have a little bit of a lull, getting a couple of feeds in here. We can have 6, which is enough to do that. We can also actually dump both of these grovels onto there so that he's got a few rounds worth of damage soaking. That boy's going to get up to the top. Huh. Well, I mean, we talked about this happening. This is the whole problem with having extremely large, beefy frontline units, is they just don't kill things. Right. So he needs love. He needs bigger. Things. And let's give him some more damage. And then I think we just go ahead and cast this. Go ahead and put this up there. And if we do this, that brings it up to 46 damage, which brings him down to not enough to matter, unfortunately. So we'll just give him 2 more damage as well. So we're still going to take 2 shots to kill that guy on the top. 1, 2. So we're down another 12 hit points. But we're pretty close to winning now. 259 down doesn't seem like it's close to winning, but it is. We can also put another grovel in here, which doesn't do much, but then we can give another bit of health and damage, which increases by almost another entire 100 damage. That's great. That is such a nice card. And we'll just give him some more draw. Obviously this guy's dying, no problem. Super boot. We're in decent shape for killing bosses. Bosses are not the problem. The problem is that the waves are crashing in and taking 22 of our life every time. Like, we don't even have to do anything and we win here. It's not an issue. So, that's where we start looking at, what do we do to solve the problem? Very, very common refrain on this channel is going to be solving the problem that's in front of you rather than what your ideal situation is going to be. So, our problem is backline damage, which means targeted spells or AoE spells or sweep units. If we can actually get a sweep unit for the bottom floor, we're kind of set. If we can't, we need to come up with some other way to do backline damage. Like trample, which we still don't have, but that's a thing that we could do. None of these apply any of those things, so we skip it. It's junking up the deck while we're waiting on getting something that does. Not feeling any of those except for spikes. That does actually do part of what we're looking at. It makes backline units hit themselves, which can kill them, so maybe we go ahead and pick that up. That feels really weird, but I think that's our best bet so far. We also probably want to go ahead and upgrade our spells now since our units are capped. Yes, all of our units are capped. And 20 health does not go awry anymore. Get rid of our Train Steward. That's obviously kind of one of our weak links here. And we can either get rid of Shade Splitter or we can get rid of Root Seeds. We've got so many ways of making morsels. I think it's, just fine to start getting rid of the Shade Splitters. They do fine. I mean, we don't care about that. Being able to apply spikes multiple times to something actually seems like a way out of our backline damage problems. So let's do that. 20 magic power and consume. I don't really want to consume my Vine Grasp, but I'm not as worried about it now that I have spikes. And then I can either purge or look to, subtract 1 from the cost of this, and that seems fine. And holdover. Okay, so I could make the cheap one happen again and again. I like that. Let's do that. So we'll make sure that the one that is cheaper can cast multiple times, and then we'll just use the others as consumed fodder. That seems like a reasonable strategy for the last boss, and before then we just simply use them in conjunction, since most of the time we'll spend 1 energy doing something else, and then we'll spend the other 3 energy casting a cheap and an expensive version of our gravels. So that's fine. We'll go ahead and get enemy units on every floor. We have enough health, we can tank it. Our only problem is just going to be making sure that we don't die with the Penumbra. We're in fine shape. I'm not going to die. So he's going to kill one guy. Our multi-strike man is going to go on the 2nd floor. We just choose who we want to save and who we want to speed. I think what we do is we grovel this guy. I don't know. Do we want to make him fast? Probably. Let's make him fast. I can give him an extra lifesteal and him some extra stats, period. So kind of splitting these things means a few bits of awkwardness, but nothing that is ground shaking. So we like the idea of doubling up units again. Obviously this is going to be a fairly tried and true refrain for us. Somebody get damage in here. Boy, oh boy, we got lucky on that one. So he's fast, so he takes that out before there's a problem. And we can start to apply extra damage here for when the larger angry creatures are there for us to do things. Notice that he is still at max health. Notice also that we have an even number of slots. We want an odd number of slots on our Morsel Master floor, so we'll do that. Easily put our Crucible Collector down here, where he will take 30 damage a turn. Oh, not quite. 24. And we ignore it. And we just say, oh, everything's fine, right? Because for the most part, everything is, in fact, fine. That being said, this guy is going to get through like that. Do we have a way to avoid that? Not yet, but we can aim towards it. But for the meantime, let's go ahead and boost this guy as many times as possible so we can maybe take this guy down a little more appropriately. Yeah, we just need to do as much damage to him as possible so that maybe we can get him below 45 health and he only hits the core once. That's the goal here. Yeah, we can do that. Okay, okay. So that's fine. We got our holdover piece, we can do that. We'll protect the president here. Let's go ahead and put one of these morsel executioners down here along with the magma morsel. And he'll start healing for oodles and oodles of damage after that. You know, getting one more of these cheaper, or just like applying -1 to these guys would be a pretty good trick as we go forward. Let's turn this guy into damage. And then we just turn our other spell into damage that way. Okay, so we're going to take 6 again. Nothing we can do about it. Okay, 3 is fine here. So let's apply some spikes, and then all of a sudden we finally got the one spell that we actually took to do this thing. We probably want to get that spike spell duplicated. If this is our thing to take care of backline units, we were doing a terrible job of that. So, food for thought. Okay, first time we've seen a Morsel Miner. He's a 0/1, so you have to be very careful with him, but giving everybody 5/5 is very strong. Okay, there is that. Let's make sure that we can cast as many things as possible next turn by simply putting 2 of these guys in there. We also can make sure that we have the maximal amount of bonus stats being given by doubling up those guys, and then we want to be able to drain tank for as long as possible down here, and see what we get. Alright, so everything is huge up here. We also have the ability to do some grovel nonsense. This guy has sweep, so he can no longer really eat things. But what we can do is provide extra damage shields so that some of these guys are negated. That being said, I don't think that actually adds anything because he's already going to lifesteal 5 times for 52 damage, so I think we just leave this floor alone. We recognize that it is what it is. We start looking at, what does take damage. Well, this backline unit takes damage. So being able to save him from a couple of sweeps seems like a good plan. So we'll do that. We have a whole bunch of units. We get to decide this turn what we want to go here and what we want to go here. We can only put 4 units down. We could put 1 here and then a second one, and that'll fill 4 unit slots, and then we can put 2 more up there. But giving ourselves all the choices here means that we can kind of do a little bit of pick and choosing. Per turn, we're only getting 25 damage in. So him having 80 health doesn't mean we need any more health there, so we can really focus in on lifesteal and damage. And then up here, he gets more damage than he does health, so we flip that around and do the opposite. Okay, cool. When we let these 2 guys go, that's okay, because we don't want to give him the opportunity to lifesteal from the 2 guys that he hits there that way. So we drained all of his lifesteal, which is cool. Everything's dead without us doing anything, so we'll just hit end turn. Cool. How did those 2 guys? Oh, they died on the spikes. That's why we have spikes. We could get another grovel. I'm not going to get another grovel. Another Crucible extension is an interesting dilemma, though. We could technically take that and try to use it for just putting more units behind. Again, I don't think that's as exciting. We could do an Ember Cache. That gives us a source of being able to like pull some additional consume cards, but then that means that we're not consuming other cards. Don't think we need the energy from it either, so I think we can skip. I think we can skip. And once again, we go down the rabbit hole of removal and all these kinds. Hey, okay, this is cool. So these are to be viewed in a non-protective manner. I have fallen into the trap of saying like, oh, I gotta put somebody behind those so that like for sure I'll get to actually use them. But the whole point of that artifact is really just like whatever floors you happen to fill on the first turn are going to get a +5/+5 boost, and that'll play really nicely with especially our boss, who is going to eat that up and get an additional 9/4. So he'll get a really good first turn boost without us having to spend the Ember that we're spending on our units, and won't be able to afford a grovel on the first turn. So this gives us a way to feed our units on turn 1. Priory's Cloak, we're not healing anything except for lifesteal, and having lifesteal kind of like double up damage is a really interesting way of actually doing damage, but this only counts for positive healing, so you can only do a maximum of how much, like, so if your unit hits for 100 but it's only down 20 health, Priory's Cloak only does 20 damage. So it's a little less cool than it looks, because as you start going towards bosses that aren't going to do that much damage per turn, it doesn't do as much as your guys will. So I think getting a +5/+5 boost here is strong enough for us to obviously take, but also reasonably exciting. Okay, Vine Grasp goes away. We can remove the Consume from Space Prison, which allows us to do the silly thing a couple of times, and I think that's pretty solid. I'm going to leave it at a 1 cost, though. I don't care about the cost as much as I care about making sure that I can cast as many grovels as possible. So obviously I would have liked to have gotten that bonus in before we duplicated the card, but that's not how we were given our deck, so we don't worry about it. I don't think we upgrade our purge any units or purge any things manually. I think we actually just get rid of things kind of organically as it comes up and just walk our line that way. Our shade splitters are becoming more and more irrelevant as these things all come down to one cost. And we save a little bit of money going into the boss, knowing that we don't get as much money from a boss battle. So looking at what's coming up here, a Merchant of Steel is pretty useless to us. So we're probably going to a Merchant of Trinkets after this, so I'm kind of glad we had the 155. That's not me being precognitive or anything like that. It's just natural planning kind of working out for us. Well, we don't want to take 5 damage, so we're going to do that. This guy's dead, that's fine. Unless we put a number down here, in which case we really got to worry about feeding him a lot. I like for him to be kind of a last line of defense. That seems fun, that seems useful. There's an argument to be made for putting him second or third floor. I think we just do third floor anyway, and then we put our Morsel Master here, knowing that we'll probably put our ×2 guy here. We'll just play off of that. So this guy's technically not toast if we don't want him to be. We could put a Prismal Dust on him and a Steel Enhancer, and then he would have enough health to live. I mean, it's funny, but I mean that is a delayed +5/+5 to somebody, so that's actually kind of a good thing to do. So he's now alive, and he's going to be his own weird version of tanky, as he could actually continue to sit here and not die. Okay, Blade of Contrition's got to get out of there. We also have no way of doing any damage to that unit, so I'm going to take that out. Multi-strike unit goes here. Crucible Collector goes here. Multi-strike unit means multi-strike. Am I killing this thing this turn? No. So that's unfortunate. We got another guy kind of going up towards the bank, but it's the best we can do for now. Do we have any way of dealing with that? Potentially. Potentially. So we are going to take some damage, but we're okay with that just because I would rather get the chance to get a damaging unit that takes this out for 7 and then still take these 2 out and only take 5, rather than knowing that I'm just like out of luck for the next X number of turns. Because if I just do this, I take 7 and then I also take more damage from other things. So I think we will go ahead and do a little bit of ramping. Cool. So that takes care of that. We take care of 2 of these cards instead of 1, so that we only redraw 1 of them later. Put this here just so that it doubles up. We take 5, but we're going to take damage regardless. There's no way of us avoiding damage this turn, and I don't think there was a way for us to play this deck in a way that doesn't take damage at some point. So this Pyre Shard starts to help. This Space Prism does, in fact, help. We can go ahead and put another Grovel here, that's fine. We are not yet killing any of these guys, so we're going to have to get into another situation where we have to kill like 3 units in a turn. It's ugly, but that's the hands we're dealt, and once again, it's another one of these where, yeah, us playing the Grovel means us not playing these other things, and that sucks. Okay. I can technically kill all of these by doing that, which once again is not how I wanted to play this hand, but it's how I'm going to play this hand. And we finally start killing some units out front, which is what it is. Okay, so this guy's going to make it up with 1 health and do 1 damage, but more importantly, he's putting crap into our hands. Don't like. Do not like it. Okay. So I need a better way of scaling quickly, because obviously I can't take out the health bars. Yowza. Okay. How much of this do we want to spend? We gotta get our units bigger, so we're gonna do that. This is also the second to last round, so let's go ahead and start thinking about how we push for the win here. Again, not worried about killing the boss itself. I think we kind of have that for free. Not free, but not dangerous levels of damage. Do that, and we take 5. Ow. So you can see we got, there's some damage going on. Can do 400 damage there. And then we'll do the rest on the second floor because we have a ton of energy. Just applying damage, getting that out of our hand. Our root seeds are probably the next to go. They're actually worse than shade splitters in a lot of cases because they're just not doing anything with us. So we already win, so all of this is just nonsense that we're casting. Okay. Moving on. We can now apply Trample, which is precisely what we need. So now we can really focus on empowering the top floor to do as much damage as possible with Gorge. We don't need more space. We could definitely use more Umbra. So we are going to take that. And we definitely want to get rid of some spells now. Our last Shade Splitter is... yeah, let's get rid of our last Shade Splitter. Okay, get some money, get some upgrade. 15-6 is real nice with Trample. We could also get Trample for free on him and put Trample somewhere else, but obviously I think just making him the absolute biggest monster we possibly could is probably our strongest possible option. Being able to immediately have 2 bonus on the middle floor is pretty good. I'm not ascending or descending anything, and I'm not running out of energy now that I've got 5, so I think that's our strongest play, and then we just move on. Okay, non-boss enemies are going to have more damage. We're not worried about damage, we're worried about health. Health is what is absolutely murdering our face right now. Obviously more damage is something. They're going to do, what is that, 80, 98 damage, so even this guy would die on the first turn. I can stop that from happening by putting him down and putting Grovel on him. So it's not even like even that's actually a death sentence. In fact, I'm going to do precisely that. Yeah, so he's going to take a grand total of 10 damage. And then we'll start healing for a fair bit. And then this floor will get overloaded with non-tanking units, but that's okay. Yeah, that's what we were waiting for, so we can take that out, no problem. Go ahead and put this guy in there. He is still dead, but that's okay. Once again, I think we can save him. With Grovel, so we'll do that. We'll grovel him. And then we start consume botting this guy, which means we need to give him some health, and we need to make sure... Okay, this guy is going to take some damage, but he's going to heal 44. Let's make sure he has enough fuel to heal himself reasonably well. Okay. This guy's only going to deal 70 damage so far. That guy's super dead unless we help him out majorly. So let's go ahead and get our grovel in there. Oh, that guy's super dead too. Which one do we save? Well, I think we have to save the guy that hits twice. Do we just lose? I don't want to lose. Losing sucks. Well, let's take it one play at a time. Okay. So Morsel Master comes out here. How many hits do we have to soak to keep this guy alive? So there's that, and then all of a sudden he's fine. Okay, cool. The other guy is, I think, just bombed. But even that may not be true. Like a 13 damage soak gives him an exact death, so I could like Steel Enhancer and Umbra Morsel, and then he lives. And then everybody's living, so now I can give this guy the 2 super bonuses he needs, and we'll give him a little bit more damage. We are going to take a absolute truckload of damage here in just a second, but I think we stabilized. Okay, no more units can get up because we will just die. Oh no. Okay, let's see what we've got. So this guy's dead again, so let's stop that from happening again. How many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Roll Pop? More than we're probably willing to invest at some point, because we need to get more health and energy there. Although I think we're just dead. 18 and 20 times 2? Yeah, we're just dead. Okay, so this is where we go ahead and start breaking down our loss. And I think it's fairly easy. We chose to get some very strong frontline units, and we very early on gave up an Awoken Hollow. No, not an Awoken Hollow. Animus of Will, who could have done a ×3 attack, and putting them at like the middle or top 4 is all you really need to take out the backline units. We could have given it a large stone or anything like that. We saw a large stone, obviously we've had one right there. But us refusing to take anything but Umbra units has actually cost us the game. So that's okay. We often talked about, what's it going to look like to take a loss here, and it really comes down to, we did not appropriately solve the problems in front of us, and that was damage. That was always damage. When we duplicated cards, we duplicated grovels instead of duplicating our Vine Grasp. And then when we upgraded our Vine Grasp, we gave it Consume, so we could only cast it once. We were just so stinking set on getting this Umberstone interaction that we kind of failed to get him going in the first place, because we spent all of our time just putting all of our units down here so that these guys didn't die, which meant he wasn't gorging. And so 3 units with gorge means that you're splitting your morsels 3 ways, and there's not enough of them to go around. So GG. I do feel like that was a good game regardless. This is not one of those where I think you can look at it and go, well, that's no fun, because it really is. It's actually, I think in some ways you learn more from just losing a close fight like this than you do from just smashing the game all the time. So, I mean, we'll play out the turn in the way that we were planning on playing it before we just absolutely got destroyed. But we also just willy-nilly took all the aggressive amulets and things, and then, paid for it with all the extra 8 damages that were coming in. Those guys would have done 12 times 2 instead of 20 times 2. We would have had plenty more health if we hadn't taken that. And our deck was already upgraded enough that we weren't worried about the 400 coins. I mean, the 400 coins are nice, and obviously you can do some cool things with it, but our deck was mostly upgraded. All we had left was like 2 or 3 grovels to make cheaper, and that's it. All of our units were maximally upgraded. All of our spells were either trash or grovels, which weren't winning. They were just kind of trickling in morsels. So hopefully we learned a lot. And if we didn't learn a lot, hopefully at least we had fun. And if we didn't have fun, then we're playing the wrong game. So we'll catch you guys next time. It was an hour-long run anyway, and it ended in absolute and abject terror and failure. But hey, that's what happens sometimes. First loss. We'll probably go ahead and publish this just because I think it, for one, it adds ingenuity so that, not ingenuity, veracity? Veracity is probably a good word for that. Basically, so that all of a sudden when you guys are looking at the next run and my win streak is gone, you can go, what happened? And the video's there. And he says, well, that's what happened. He got cocky and he was so excited to play Umbra units that he didn't want to play anything else, and then he died. So that's it. Cool. You run.